This video is going to talk about your navigation and all your navigation options. And we have quite a few, so I'm going to run through this as thoroughly as possible. So the first thing that we want to talk about is positioning. So this navigation doesn't have to stay to the right. We have a lot of different options. So if we go into our back end and we go to the design tab and we go to the header tab in there, we have all these different options. I'm going to show you a few of them. So the first thing as far as positioning goes is you can have the logo right now is to the left and the navigation's to the right, along with the social media. So let's look at that. We have the logo to the left, the navigation, and the social media icons are all to the right. So let's say we want to flip-flop that. We could easily put the logo to the right, and we could put the navigation to the left, and the social icons to the left. We can scroll down here and click Save, and when we refresh it, we can go ahead and see that it flip-flops. So now let's look at if we put the logo in the center and we put the navigation in the center and we put the social media icons in the center and we click save and we refresh it. You're going to see that everything is centered. So this right here is called inline. It means that everything's in a line. If we wanted to stack those items, I'm going to go ahead and choose the navigation layout called stack. I'm going to click save and I'm going to refresh. You're going to see that we can now stack those items. So again, you can move everything around back and forth and play around with it. Normal traditional is logo to the left and navigation to the right, but you have all these options in there. So there's one more navigation type that I want to show you. So we did inline, we did stacked, and now we're going to do collapsed. So I'm going to do collapsed, but for this I'm going to move the logo back to the left, and I'm going to move the navigation and the social icon to the right. Now, a collapsed navigation means that the navigation is going to be collapsed into what's sometimes referred to as the hamburger. And so when this is that like social that mobile look that has become so popular. And when you click on it, it expands it into a tray. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of that. So those are your options as far as positioning of the navigation and options on layout of the navigation. So now I want to show you a few options that you have with the background of the navigation. So the first thing I want to show you is we're still in the design tab in the header section, and I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to be playing around with the background color. So the first thing is I'm going to turn the background color all the way up. So the opacity is going to be turned up. I'm going to click save, and right now the navigation and the logo are on. It looks like it's on the image, but what we just did is we turned the background on so you could see the background. So we turned it all the way up. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you that you can turn the opacity down to about 50%. I'm going to do, and you'll see that you'll be able to see through it a little bit to that image. So when you have an image here and when you have this color turned off, when you can see right through to the image, so it looks like it's not there like we originally had it. It works really well if the image is like this, where there's a lot of negative space and you don't have a lot of busyness for the navigation or the logo to fall on. So if you have some images in there that are really busy, you may want to put that strip in there, that overlay that's going to allow your navigation to always kind of sit on a color and pop off. So we have that background color where we can see it now. And now I want to show you really quick how to change that color. So we're going to go over to the settings area in the design tab, and we have this navigation background color. So we could always just type in a hex code here, or we could just pick from a color here. So I'm just going to really quickly pick this orange. I'm going to click save, and I'm going to go back and click refresh. And now you can see that it's an orange color. Again, we can turn it up or down as we see fit. The next thing I want to show you is that if I scroll down, that navigation goes away. You can make it so that navigation is fixed. So really quick, I'm just going to change this back to our dark color. I'm going to click save. And I'm going to go back into the header tab. And I'm going to scroll down to this toggle that says enable fixed position. And I'm going to turn it to true. And I'm going to click save. Go back here, click refresh. And now what you're going to see is when I roll down, that navigation locks into place and overlays above the content. So you can make it so that your navigation stays at the top and just rolls up, or you can make it so that it locks into place so that somebody can always have that navigation ready and available. And the last thing I want to show you in this little first part of our tutorial is how to change the colors. So first thing I'm going to do is turn this back to inline so we can actually see the colors of the navigation links. So when we see those colors, here they are. You're going to notice that we have the normal color is white. When we roll over any of these items, they turn blue. And if we were to click on one of these items, it would actually stay blue. So what I'm going to do really quick is I'm going to go to the fonts section. And you can see that we have the white and we have the blues. So I'm going to change our rollover color to like a yellow. We'll change it to that orange. How about that? And I'll change the navigation selected color to an orange as well and click OK. And that selected color comes a little bit more into play if you have like multiple pages. And I'm going to go ahead and refresh. And you can see now that it's orange. So let me go ahead and, oh, I'm sorry, it was enabled. I meant to turn the enabled on. So let me refresh. So you'll see that we have our colors and we have the rollover states are orange, and whatever item we're on actually stays orange. So to go back to that font section, we have the white and the orange and the orange, and those are our colors in here. Our fixed color, our selected color is orange, our rollover color is orange, and our regular color is white. Okay, so now what we want to talk about is how the functionality of this default navigation works and what options we have. So right now, when you set up the site, the default is that the navigation is set to be long scroll, which means that when you click, it's going to move down to the section that you clicked on. So we have About, we have FAQ, and we have Contact. And it just keeps rolling down, and if I click FAQ, it moves me back up. So this navigation is built for long scroll, and every time you click on something, it takes you to that section. So I want to show you a little bit about how that works. So we go back into the content management, and we go to the pages. So the first thing that you're going to notice is I'm on this test page, and these are all my content sections. You'll see that we have album, FAQ, and contact. Those are our sections of content that we created. And if we go back up here, we have album, FAQ, and contact. You'll notice that you don't see header, which is this first item up here. And the reason is if the word header was right here and we clicked on it, it would go nowhere because we're already there. So we just by default don't show it. However, if you wanted to turn these items off, you can simply come in here, and this icon, if you roll over it and stay there, it says toggle if visible in navigation. So I can now turn those off. So I can turn all of those buttons off, and if I refresh, all those buttons are gone. So if I just wanted to eliminate my navigation altogether, I could. I could just turn one of them on, or turn them all back on, whatever it is. And here, I'll just turn a couple of them off, refresh it, and we should only have one button there. And there's our one button. And and now if you want to change what the titles of these buttons, so if you want to change contact to be something else, like you want it in all caps, or you want to change it to connect or something like that, you just simply click rename and you rename that section. This title here of this section is what will show up as your navigation. So you'll notice I put FAQ instead of frequently asked questions because that's really long. So I put FAQ. Some people put raves instead of testimonials, etc. So if you want to change those navigation links, you change it in the title of this section. So you would just click rename and you would change it. Okay. So now we have this inline where it's a long scroll navigation and it clicks into sections. But now you want to maybe make more of a traditional section. So I'm going to turn all of these off. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into a different area and make a more traditional section. This works if you have multiple pages. If you just have one long in scroll, this is probably the best navigation for it. But if you're going to make multiple pages in your site, an about page and a contact page and a whatever else page, and you want to have more traditional buttons that link places, then what you're going to do is you're going to go to the sitemap section. The sitemap section is going to allow you to create more traditional buttons. So I'm going to create a couple of these. So the first button I'm going to create is, let's say, about, because I created an about page, and I'm going to choose the about page that I already created to link to. So I'm going to choose that, and I'm going to choose the drop down here and make sure that it says open in the same window. I don't want this to spawn a new window because I want it to all feel like it's in our browser, so it's in our site, so we're going to leave it there. So if you have pages on your site, you open it in the same window. If you're linking externally to some other site or another section like a proofing system or a blog or something like that, you open in a new window. So I'm going to click open in the same window, and I'm going to click save. If we go back up here and we refresh, all we should see is our about button. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to create an external link. So let's say we do have a photo cart or something like that. So let's say we'll call it proofing or cart or something like that. We're going to create a button. We're not going to choose a page because we don't have a proofing page, but let's say you're using some sort of external third-party cart system, or you could be doing this to a blog or whatever it is. You just put the http:// and whatever it is. Right now, I'm just going to link to google.com, and you're going to open in a new window, and then you're going to click save. So you come up here, you click refresh, and you'll see about and proofing. And you'll notice all my other items are not in there. I've turned them off. So now we have a regular link that links to a page. We have a external link that links outwards, and now you might be asking, well, shouldn't we create a home button? So I want to tell you a little bit about the home button. We have an auto home button so that it just gets built into every page, because if you have a long scroll and you only have one page that is your main content, you really just want the home button to not be there. If you have multiple pages, you will want the home button to be there so that it links over. So if you have multiple pages, you're going to want to turn on this auto home button option. So I'm going to show you really quick. If we go to pages and we just preview this about page, you'll notice that this test page is our home page because it's highlighted with the home. But if I click a page that's not our page, it gives us that home button that links us back to home, and then there's no home button here. So there are times where you may have like your long scroll and you may have one additional page, but you don't necessarily want the home button on the home page. So we have that option turned off. But now we're going to turn it on. So I'm going to go to the design tab. I'm going to go to the header, and I'm going to always show home in navigation. And this is going to allow for a home button to be on the home page. And I'm going to click save. And so now you'll see on this home page, if I refresh it, I have a home button now. And if I click about, it takes me to the about page, and I still have that home button. Okay? So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you how to change. I'm going to refresh this. I'm going to show you how to change where you change what this says. So that home button is automatic, and so you have to be able to change what it says. If you want to use home in a different language or whatever it is, we're going to come back into the back end. We're going to go to language, and we're just going to change this in this general tab. We're going to change this right here from home to whatever it is that you want that button to say. You could have it say home. If you use, again, a different language, you could change it to whatever that word is, and then you scroll to the bottom and you click save. So now there's really one more way that you could work this navigation, and really it's a combination. So let's say we want to have more of the traditional long scroll. So let's say we go back to our pages, we go to our home page, and we turn on all of these items. and we want to combine that with one button. So normally you wouldn't do this, but we kind of thought of the scenario where you have this one long scroll and you want to make sure that you have a button that links somewhere externally that says sign up, or you want something that says, contact now, and it's going to some sort of opt-in or whatever it is. You really want to like call out a button and make it go somewhere else. So you have the ability to have links that link down to content, and you'll have the ability now to link somewhere else, whether it's another page or an external link or whatever it is. So in this case, we're going to pretend like we're linking to a sign up, some sort of sign up third-party software that you use. And so we'll go to, we turned on all of our items here, and let's just refresh. And you'll see that we have all of our items in there. We have home, album, FAQ, contact. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the sitemap, and I'm going to delete this button here. And I'm going to edit this proofing button, and let's just say like sign up, and we're gonna link to wherever it is that we're gonna link to. I don't know what it is. And we click save. I'm also, because I'm kind of reducing this site down to the home page, I'm gonna go into design, and I'm gonna go into the header, and I'm going to turn off that home button and click save. And when I refresh, what you're going to notice is we have our album, our FAQ, and our contact. So these all link to these different content sections. But if we were to click sign up, it's going to take us to that external link, and we have it right now linked to Google. So now that button might be super important. So if it's like a sign up button, or it's something that you really want to call out, we created this way of treating that button, and it's called buttonize the external link. So if that last button links externally, you can turn this on, and again, we're in the design header tab, and click save. And what it's going to do is it's going to draw a box around that button to style it a little differently. And when we refresh, you'll see that it's styled a little differently. You'll also notice that all of the long scroll navigation items that link to content are on the left, and anything that is in the sitemap, like anything that you create in the sitemap, which is like our sign up buttons or that about button I once created, the proofing button, they're all going to be to the right. And so this button has this extra treatment, and these buttons still click down to the content. So those are all your options in a somewhat of a broad and detailed strokes. You can go ahead and play around with all the settings. You can come up with quite a few different combinations, but I gave you the majority of it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to put in a support ticket. Let us know. Let us know how we can help, and we'd be happy to help you.